everybody. Today I'm going to be going through the 2016 NAPLAN test for Year 9 Numeracy without a calculator. We'll see how we go. If you've got any questions or statements or whatnot, just leave it in the comments below and I'll get down to it as soon as I can. Alright, let's get into it. Question 1. A shop sells balloons in bags of 5. For a party, 20 balloons are needed. So we need 5. So let's get our pen working. Yes, our pen is working. So we needed 5, and there's bags of 5. There's 20 balloons in total that we need. How many bags of balloons are needed? There will be 4 balloons per bag because 5 goes into 20 4 times. So that's our answer for that one. Next one, Joe measures the distance to be 5 meters and 12 centimeters. Which of these shows how Joe can write this measurement in meters? So we've got 512 centimeters in total because we've got the 500 from the 5 meters and we've got the 12 centimeters afterwards. And that's how many centimeters there are, 512. To get that into meters, you have to divide by 100. Move the decimal place 2 points across, so that will give us 5.12 as our answer. Question 3. A bag contains 15 beads that are neither red or yellow. The probability of randomly removing a red bead is 20%. What's the probability of removing a yellow? Well, if it has to be red or yellow, they add up to 100%. And red is 20%. So how much plus 20% will equal 100%? That will be 80%. So it's just 100 minus 20 equals your answer, 80%. Question 4. Amelia wants to find the number of people who are enrolled in either a music class or drama class, but not both. Which shaded region of the Venn diagram will have the information? So we do not want both, which is what this is in the middle. Obviously this one's wrong because it has everything. This only has people that are not in the classes. We're looking for just in music and just in drama and not in both. So this one is the correct answer. Okay, question 5. Point P is translated down 4 units. So they just want us to make it go straight down. It starts at 3 on the y-axis. That's a bad Y. Y-axis starts with 3, but we're minusing 4 from that, so it will actually be -1. And on the x-axis, this one over here, we're at the 2. We'll remain at the 2. We always write x-axis first, so it should be 2 minus 1 as our answer, as the x and y coordinates. And there's our answer. Number 6, the heights in centimeters of children on the tennis team are as follows. Select the dot plot that correctly displays the data. So there is 1 of 117. So they're all in the running. This first one says there's 2 of 118, but we don't have 2 of 118 in those numbers. So it's definitely not the first one. It says we've got 1 here of 119, but we've actually got 2 of 119. So it's definitely not this one. We can check through all the other numbers if we wanted, just to make sure it's accurate, but it's clear that this is the right answer. Alright. Beth made a ramp to replace a set of steps that were 0.5 meters high. The ratio of the horizontal length of the ramp to its height is 12 to 1. So what is the horizontal length of the ramp? So if it's 0.5 high, and it's 12 times as long as what it is high, then you've got to do 0.5 times 12. 0.5 is a half, so half times the number means you just have to divide the number by 2. Half of 12 is 6. Tom joins the gym, he's got a $56 monthly fee. That sounds important. Members pay an extra $6 per session if they want to work with a gym trainer. Which expression represents Tom's monthly gym bill if he works with a trainer for X sessions throughout the month? Well, it definitely needs to be 56 plus something, because you always need to pay your monthly fee plus anything else. So it can't be either of these first two. and you have to pay $6 per session, and there's X amount of sessions, so it has to be 6 times X plus your monthly fee of 56. So this is the right answer. Number 9. Grace throws a ball from a height of 2 meters. Maximum height of the ball after it is thrown is 4 meters. The ball lands on the ground 2 seconds after it's thrown. Which graph shows the ball's displacement? So, reached a height of 4 meters. There's our height of 4 meters up there, up here. This one only goes to 2 meters and goes straight down, so no good. This one it goes from 4 down, but remember, when you throw a ball, it obviously has to start at 0 and go up. So this looks to be the correct sort of parabola of sorts. However, that's 4 seconds, so that one's no good. And obviously going straight down is no good. So here is our right answer. Goes up to 4, it comes down at 2. And I guess, oh sorry, I forgot to mention, it is thrown from 2 meters. So instead of it looking like a parabola like this, it has to start at the 2 meter mark, not at the 0. So yes, top left is the correct answer. Okay, Riley's building a tabletop in the shape of a parallelogram. What's the perimeter of the tabletop? Parallelograms look a little bit tricky, but it's just the same thing as a rectangle of that shape. So 110 plus 90 equals 200. And if it's 200 on those two sides, it's 200 on these two sides. 200 plus 200 is 400. Obviously, just make sure that the units are correct, and they all say centimeters, so it's all good. 400 centimeters is the right answer. Next one. Diameter of a red blood cell is 0.0076 millimeters. Which of these shows the diameter in scientific notation? So, it's because normally you have it as 7.6, because you only have one number past the decimal point, and that's what we've got here, 7.6. We just need to see how many times we have to move the decimal across to get to that point. So where it is here, in between the 7 and the 6, 1, 2, 3. You'd have to move 3 times to get to that point. So I can show you a bit bigger over here. 1, 2, 3. 0, 0, 0, dot. So it has to move 3 across, which means it will be 10 to the minus 3, because we've divided by 1,000 to get from 7.6 to 0.0076. So it's 7.6 times 10 to the minus 3. It has to be to the minus because our answer is less than 7.6. It's actually even less than 1. So we're getting a number and we're dividing it by something quite substantial. Dividing by something substantial is the same as multiplying by a negative exponent to the minus 3. Do not go this one. That is 10. That is 1,000. 7.6 times 1,000 will be 7,600, which is not the right answer. Number 12. Jane and David had identical chocolate bars. David ate 7/8 of his chocolate bar. Jane ate more of her chocolate bar than David. What fraction of her chocolate bar could she have eaten? So it has to be more than 7/8. If you know your fractions pretty well and percentages, you'll know that this equals 87.5%, or 0.875 as a decimal. So this 8 out of 10, that won't be the right answer. If you know as well that 100 divided by 9 will roughly be 11, because 9 times 11 is 99, then you'll figure out that this one is the correct answer, because 8 out of 9 will be 8 times 11, which of course is 88. This is where you need to know your maths. It's always really helpful to know a lot of the more basic fractions. That will help you tremendously. Also, a little bit of a general rule here as well. I'll delete a little bit of things so we've got more space to write. If you compare 7 out of 8 to 8 out of 9, you should know that 8 out of 9 is actually more, because it's exactly the same as 1 out of 2 is going to be smaller than 3 out of 4, which is smaller than 5 out of 6. Because as the denominator goes up, the bottom number, as that goes up, then pieces get smaller. So if you're only missing one piece, see here we're only missing 1/2, 3 to 4, that's only 1, 5 to 6, it's only 1. As you're missing a smaller and smaller piece, it obviously means you're getting closer and closer to a whole. So even if you didn't know the decimals, just by knowing that basic bit of maths, you know that 8/9 has to be bigger than 7/8, because this one is only missing a 9th, while this one is missing an 1/8. And if you've cut a cake into 9 equal pieces and you've cut the same cake into 8 equal pieces, the 9 equal pieces, the 9ths will be smaller. Question 13. Monty and Tara buy pencils for school. Tara buys 2 times the number of pencils. Monty buys an additional 4 pencils. Let M be the number of pencils Monty buys. So Tara's got twice as many as Monty, plus 4. And M is Monty, so it'll have to be 2 times M plus 4, which is this one. That's 2 lots of M, 2 lots of Monty, plus 4. Not sure what more to add to that one. A fair $1 coin, a fair $2 coin, a toss at the same time. What's the probability that both show tails? That's 1 out of 2 times 1 out of 2. We multiply numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. That will end up equaling 1 out of 4. Myra draws a scale map of Australia on a coordinate grid. She knows the actual distance between Perth and Sydney is 3294 kilometres. Which scale should she use for her map? So it's actually even giving you the coordinates there. So that helps out, because when it comes to the y-axis, they're almost exactly the same. We'll just ignore it, and we're just going to do roughly estimates. To go from 1.3 to 9.2, so there's our 1.3, 9.2, that's about 8 squares. And if it goes 8 squares and you're doing 3,294, well, I guess you've got to divide your 3,294 kilometers by 8 squares to see how many kilometers per square. 8 into 3 doesn't work. 8 into 32 is 4. 8 into 9 is 1, remainder 1. 8 into 16 is 1, remainder 6. Anyway, that should be good enough. We've got 411, which is closest to 400, much, much closer to 400 than to anything else we've got there. 16, the triangle is reflected across the dotted line, so it'll look like this. Of sorts, sorry about my bad drawing. A vertical line and going out to the side. Geez, let's get rid of those real bad drawings. So vertical line. There we go. And then it says it's rotated 90 degrees clockwise. Clockwise means it's going in this direction. 90 degrees means it'll be going from facing east to facing south. So it will actually be pointing downwards, just like this one. Okay, remember the never eat soggy Weet-Bix. And just remember clockwise is the way a clock goes. Okay, question 17. Mean age of employees, so mean is average, is 40. The median age, so the middle number, is 35. A new employee hired who is 55. Which of these is possible? So if the mean was 40, and the median was 35, and we've picked a number that's higher than both of them, then both of them should go up. So it's saying which of these is possible. the mean age staying the same is unlikely with the median age increasing. I'm going to give that one a cross. The mean age staying the same and the median age decreasing, that's absolutely impossible. Let's cross that one out completely. The mean age decreases. Your mean age is not going to decrease if you've got just added a number that's bigger. And the last one is the mean age increases. So the average goes up, which the average has to go up, and the median age stays the same. It is a possibility, because just to explain this one in a little bit more depth, when you've got an odd number, so let's say you've got 7 different ages, there's your 7 different ages. The median is going to be the one in the middle, the 4th one. But then if you go 8 ages, so you go from an odd number to an even number, then you've actually got 2 medians to choose from, or it ends up being an average of both of them. So it is possible that when you add another number, that the next number after your initial median, so let's say from this one it said that our median was 35, this next one could also be 35. So there's no doubt that the average, or the mean, has gone up by us adding in 55. But that doesn't mean that the median necessarily goes up. The median can stay the same, but the mean has to go up. Question 18. Vicky and Anya are saving money for a holiday. Vicky's got 300 and she wants to save 20 a week. Anya has 250 and wants to save 30 a week. After how many weeks will Vicky and Anya have saved the same amount? So if we've got 300 and we've got 250, right? This is V and this is A. That's a gap of $50. Now, because there's a $10 gap between Anya and Vicky, so Anya's $50 behind at the moment, but she saves $10 extra per week. You've just got to see how many weeks of 10 extra until it gets to the 50. And then obviously it's just 5 weeks. We can confirm that as well by just doing the maths. 300 plus 5 lots of 20 plus 5 lots of 20 equals 5 lots of 20 is 100 plus 300 is 400. And then if we go to the 250, it'll be the same. 5 lots of 30. 5 times 3 is 15 plus a 0 is 150. 150 plus 250 is 400. So 5 weeks is our answer. And question 19. What is this kind of triangle? Well, it's got to be 180 in total. And if it's 45, 90, that means the other one's got to be 45. All we're doing is if we add these two together, gets us 135. 180 minus 135 equals 45. But more than that as well. It's just a very common triangle that you'll see. A right angle triangle where it's got 2 angles of the same size. So we'll call this isosceles. We're not going to call it obtuse because it has no obtuse angles. It has no angles that are greater than 90. It's not scalene because not all 3 sides are different. It's not equilateral because for it to be equilateral, all the angles would have to be the same. They'd all be 60 because it's 180 divided by 3 equal sides. So it has to be isosceles. 2 of 45, 1 of 90. Question 20. Group of 105 people asked if they're left-handed or right-handed. This table shows the results. A man was selected at random. What's the probability that he's left-handed? So it says that you picked a man. So that means we're only looking at men initially. And it's saying there's 50 of them. And it says that 15 were left-handed. So 15 out of 50. We want to get it out of 100. If we want to do it as a percentage, So because we have to times 50 by 2 to equal 100, we have to times 15 by 2 to get our answer out of 100, which of course is 30. 30 out of 100 is 0.30 as a decimal. Which of the following is always equal to x minus y? Well, let's just use numbers. Let's call x 5 and y we'll call 4. So 5 take 4 equals 1. This first one, minus 5 minus 4. 2 minuses make a plus. That will end up making minus 1. So that one's wrong. If we go to the next one, minus x plus y, minus f plus your minus 4, that will also get minus 1. That one's also no good. So it's definitely not the first two. Y take x, 4 take 5, will be minus 1. It's also no good. And then our last one, minus 4 plus 5 equals 1. There's our 1 that we needed. Keep in mind that another very easy way to look at it, so that's just the brute force way to work it out, but the actual proper way to work it out mathematically would just be to consider that in our question x is positive, which means there's an invisible plus sign in front of it, and there's a minus in front of the y, and you just have to see where that pattern continues. And it's this one here. See, we've got our minus y and we've got our positive x. Question 22. The plan of the lawn in Pat's backyard is shown. Pat wants to fertilize the lawn in her backyard and needs to know the total area. What's the total area of Pat's lawn in square meters? So 2 and 3 is 5. So it's 5 all the way along, and it's 3 all the way up. So that makes 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay? However, then we've also got 2 triangles here to get rid of. And they are 2 meters across, and they are 1.5 meters high because it's half of 3 meters. 1.5. So we've got 2 of them like this. Now, because they're identical in size, you could actually literally just put another one up here, and then it actually makes a rectangle. 2 times 1.5 is 3. So that's the size of that rectangle. 3. And hence, if you do your 15, which is this whole shape, minus your 3, which is that shape and that shape, you get 12 meters squared. Straightforward enough. Almost done. Question 23. Glenn's got 6 cups of sugar, and a biscuit recipe uses 3/4 of a cup of sugar for each batch. What's the greatest number of batches Glenn can make? So 6 cups, and if we're going to deal with quarters, you've actually got 24 quarters, because 6 times 4 is 24. So we've got 24 quarters in total. We use 3/4 for each batch. So if we've got 24 quarters, we've got 24 quarters and we use 3 in every batch. That's just how many times 3 fits into 24, which is 8 from times tables. So that's all you've got for that one. Question 24. Paul's playing a Guess My Number game. He gives these clues. My number is a square, it's divisible by 2 and 9, and it's 2 digits. What is my number? So it's a square number, so, and it's got 2 digits. So we'll skip the earlier squares and we'll just get to the bigger ones. So 4 4s, 5 5s, That's 8 8s, so I accidentally skipped a few. 6 6s, 36, 7 7s are 49, 9 9s are 81. Okay, so for it to be divisible by 2, it's got to be an even number. So, by the way, we can't go any higher than this because 10 10s are 100. So it's got to be one of these. It's got to be divisible by 2, which means it can't be an odd number. And it says divisible by 9 as well. That's not divisible by 9. That's not divisible by 9. But 9 4s are 36. Because it's divisible by 9, you could have also just gone your 9 times tables until you come up with a square. Okay, so Leslie has read 5 8ths of a 256 page book. Which decimal shows how much of the book she has read? So I know that 5 8ths is 0.625 or 62.5%. If you didn't know that, then that makes it a little bit trickier. Because 5 8ths is more than 4 8ths, it's more than 4 8ths, it means it has to be more than half. It has to be more than 0.5, so that rules out a number of them. It leaves you just with those two. And hopefully you know that 6 out of 8 is the same as 3/4. 3/4, hopefully, you already know is 75%. So if 4 8ths is 50%, it's 50, and 6 8ths is 75%, and it's got to be right in the middle of those two. It's a 25 gap between those two. Half of 25 is 12.5. So add the 12.5 to 50, you get 62.5. Which is what our answer is. Alright, 26. Jason wants to multiply 35 times 62. Which of these will give Jason the correct number? Well, just by looking at it, I know it's this one. We could go through them all. 30 times 60 plus 5 times 2. Now 5 times 2 is 10. That's not really going to be what you're looking for. So it's definitely not that top one. The second one, 30 times 2 plus 60 times 5. You can sort of just know that you're multiplying a number that's greater than 30 by a number that's greater than 60. So you can't just be multiplying by 2 and by 5. That's not going to help you get it done. For the last one, you've got 30 different 60s. So actually, I'll say you've got 60 different 30s, and then you've got 2 different 30s. So that's 6. So that means you've got 62 lots of 30. And then you've also got 5 lots of 60. That's something pretty different to what is being asked for. It's not quite what they're looking for. Now, if I get rid of all these rubbish answers and just keep the good one, just sort of expand on that a little bit. For this correct answer, it's saying that you've got 30 lots of 62, and then you've got 5 more lots of 62. It's adding the two together. So that actually will equal 35 times 62, because 30 plus 5 is 35. Easy enough, right? It just looks tricky. It's not that bad. Question 27. Holly's saving to buy her first car. She created a table to keep track of her savings. Complete the rule for the linear relation between the amount of money in Holly's savings account and the number of months of saving. This looks like an interesting one. So we need to see y equals x plus 230. Oh, so we need to see how much that she initially had for it to go up. Multiply rule for the linear relationship. Well, if we look from 5 to 10, it's 5 months, and it's actually gone up $200. So that tells me that 200 divided by 5, which is 40, is a pretty important number. And I can test that out as well by looking at the difference between 5 and 2, which is 3 months. 3 months times 40 bucks each is 120, and that is the difference between those two. So the 40 is how much she's saving per month, plus she had $230 to start off with, which again is confirmed by the number 2 and 310. 2 lots of 40 is 80, and 80 plus your 230 equals 310, which is exactly what she has there. So yeah, we just need to say that she's saving 40 every month. 28. Michelle bought a pair of sunglasses which cost $19.50 before the goods and services tax was added. How much did her sunglasses cost after adding 10%? Well, if it costs $19.50 and we want to add 10% of that to get 10% of a number, move the decimal place 1 to the left, and then we'll add those two numbers together. So $19.50 plus, we'll just delete that, 1.950. Then we just add them two together. 0, 5, 5 and 9 is 14. 9 plus 2 is 11, and that's 2. $21.45. Now, just as a very rough thing, if it was $20 and you added 10%, 10% of 20 is 2. So 20 plus 2 equals $22. So we're looking for a number that's a little bit smaller than that, which our number is. So that's a way of being able to check to see, using a rough estimate to see whether your answer's ballpark. If you got a number like $50 or something, you know something's drastically wrong. 29. Harper has a tablecloth with an area of 3 square meters. What is the area of his tablecloth in square centimeters? So for it to be 3 square meters, that can be something like this. 3 meters by 1 meter. But if we want it in centimeters, that'll be 100 times by 300. And now you've got to incorporate all of those zeros. So 300 times 100, you've got 1 0 there, 1 0 there, 1 0 there, 1 0 there. So we need to use all those zeros. 30,000 square centimeters. Very basic one as well. If it's going to be 3 times 1, it has to start the answer with 3. 300 sounds too small, 30 sounds way too small. So there's not many good options here. Sam rents a truck from a hire company. The cost to rent the truck is directly proportional to the number of kilometers driven. Rental cost to drive is 200 kilometers is $87.50. What's the rental cost to drive? 80. So 200 costs us $87.50. 80 is obviously less than half of 200, but you've got to look at 80 out of 200 as a ratio and see what you have to times one by the other to get your answer. So if we halve both numbers, that gets 40 out of 100. So that means that whatever our value is up here, which we're trying to solve, it will be 40% of this, if that helps. To figure out 40% of a number, so we need to get 40% of 87.50. A very easy way to do this is to divide 87.50 by 10 and then just times it by 4. Because if you divide any number by 10, you're getting 10%. And then whenever you've got 10% and you multiply it by 4, then that gets you your 40%, which of course is what 0.4 is as a decimal. So first up, we want to divide by 10. So to divide 87.50 by 10, we move the decimal place 1 across, and we get 8.750. and that is our 10% value. But we want 4 of those, so now we've got to multiply by 4. And now if we just do 8.75 multiplied by 4, 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 is 30. So it's 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 8 is 32 plus 3, 35. And remember that we're looking for something that was a little bit less than half, because 80 is a little bit less than half of 200. So we're looking for something that's a little bit less than half of 8750. 35 is a bit less than 8750. So yeah, that's that one there. One of the trickier ones that they've got. I wonder if I could figure it out in a different way. Another way you could look at it. So remember how I've already figured out that 80 out of 200, it equals 40%. It's 40 out of 100. And then if you keep simplifying it down, it ends up getting 1 to 2.5. So then what we need to do is we need to get 87.5 divided by 2.5. And that will also get us our answer. This can be done by ignoring decimal places. 25 into 875. Again, looks tricky, but 25 is a really good number to work with. 25 in 8 doesn't work. 25 in 87, we know that 3 25s will be 75, so it fits in 3 times. And then there'll be a remainder of 12, so we put the 12 over here, and it'll get us 125. And even if you don't know your 125 times tables, your 25 times tables, you'll probably know you get 25, and then 50, and then 75, and then 100, and 125. So how many times does 25 fit into 125? Exactly 5 times. $35. Feel free to ask questions more about that one, because that one seems a little bit trickier, but the maths is fairly straightforward. Last page. Question 31. Mona can walk from home to school following the roads which she can cut across. Along the roads she walks 600 and 800. How many meters less does she go by crossing? So it's just the old a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And here's your a and your b. There's your c. So 600 and 800. That can just be simplified to 6 and 8. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 36 plus 64 equals 100. And don't forget to put on your couple of zeros on the end to get the right answer. So that's 100,000 meters is your diagonal. But if we had just gone all the way around, we're doing 600 plus 800, which equals 1400. So the difference between the two is 400 meters. So if you'd walk 400 meters less by doing the diagonal. Last one. The table shows the receiving areas of 2 large radio telescopes. What is the ratio of the receiving area of the AXAP compared to the receiving area of the SCAR? So one of them is 1 square kilometer, which means you've got 1,000 meters by 1 meter. Very skinny little rectangle there. And then the other one is 4,000 square meters. So the other one is 4, well, made it even longer. It's 4,000 multiplied by 1 meter. So, yeah, obviously one is 4 times bigger than the other. Or is it? I believe I've got that right. If not, we will review. In fact, maybe I'll have a brief stop and think. Actually, I'm fairly certain I've got that completely wrong. Because I believe that a square kilometre will mean it's 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters by 1,000. So it'll be 1,000 times 1,000, which is 1 million. I knew I had it much too easy. So that's what the scar is in square meters. And if the other one is 4,000, then you've obviously got to do how many times does 4,000 fit into a million. We can get rid of some common zeros. So it's just how many times does 4 fit into 1,000. 4 into 1 doesn't work. 4 into 10 is 2, remainder 2. 4 into 20 is 5. 4 into 0 is 0. 250. So it's 1 to 250. Just to make sure that it's accept to scar. Scar is 250 times bigger than accept. Yes, 1 to 250. That is the one. Because the scar number is last. That's what that one is there. So there we go. That's how we do this Year 9 numeracy questions. Yeah, if you've got any queries, please let me know, and I'll try to give further assistance as much as possible. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time.